drift with me.
What's going on, everyone? It's Mike, it's John back again, and this is your debrief show. As you can see just above me, there is now a QR code. If you scan that, you will be able to subscribe to the channel straight away. So that will help everyone who needs to share this with their nans, their granddads, their sisters, brothers, their cousins, anything. Get them all subscribed watching Blue Boys Network. On top of that, obviously, we do have our night with Neville Southall, so the link is in the description. Tickets go on sale tomorrow at 7 p.m. So make sure you go over to the website. There is 25 reserved for the sort of reduced price, and then we do go up to the full price for the further 75. So, look, we are here. Sponsors in the bottom corner there, Aviator, watch sponsor, and Flyers, our venue sponsor.
Just before you carry on, I've just scanned that QR code. It says this page isn't available.
Well, we are no longer on YouTube, everyone, so it's gone. The channel's gone. All right, it's done, finished. All right, John, are you going to let the audience into the little secret that we had this morning, or am I, my friend? Which one of us is going to...
Well, tell them I'm not bothered.
So me and John this morning, very often we have these heated debates, and me and John had another one this morning to the point where I hung up on him. I couldn't listen to him anymore. Now, the good thing with me and John is no matter what, we'll always be best mates, so it doesn't really matter. So we haven't spoken since. So there could be drama, tension, could be anything in this debrief. But look, let's get into it. I watched the game back. I watched literally all 97 minutes of the game back this morning, and I really sort of slowed down and watched the goals. I watched our opportunities as well, and I sort of come to the conclusion, and I think actually this was slightly mirrored on Match Today as well, but I've come to the conclusion that on both goals, although we can easily say, you know, Keane, Tarkowski, Mikalenko, O'Brien should all be by their men, and Lilliman and Jai shouldn't let his man go before the first cross, etc., etc., etc. The movement of Haaland is just absolutely exceptional on those two goals. He's really, really clever. He sucks the defender in. He runs full tilt to make them go towards goal, and then he comes and stands back. Now, I think for any normal football fan, me, you, anyone watching this, it's really easy for us to go, oh, yeah, Michael Keane should have been there. Tarkovsky's could have been there. And we both said it. It was criminal defending. We both said it. But you are talking about the best striker in the world. And I just think sometimes you just have to accept about being done. The ultimate mistake in the first goal for me was Njai not following his man. That for me was the primary mistake of that goal, because I don't think that goal happens if he follows his man. He doesn't. We concede. So that's my take on the first goal, John. John, you fire away, my friend. Your turn.
Well, listen, I still think the defender should be closer to him. Yes, Haaland's movement's good. You know, he's good at what he does, Haaland. He's the best striker on the planet. Probably will be the best striker the Premier League's ever seen. But you can still get closer. Just because his movement's good doesn't... He hasn't disappeared. He's not a ghost. He's there. So, you know, Haaland could have had 10 centre-halves on him yesterday, and he probably still scores the 2 goals. That's how good he is. But you can get closer. You can follow your man in football. But listen, you've played at a better level than me, so obviously you know more than me. But in football, mate, it's not hard to mark. When I say it's not hard to mark someone, it's not hard to be close to someone. Yes, he might have got away from Keane or Tarkowski. He may have done. But a gap opens up and he comes from the edge of the box just in from the edge of the box and just comes towards the penalty spot, in my opinion. And Tarkowski and Keane are too close to the goal. I think one of them could have come out and got closer to get closer to him. And then you mention Ndiaye, yes, and Ndiaye could have done more to stop the ball coming in. But I'm not going to sit here and have a pop at Iliman Ndiaye because he's fantastic, mate. The amount of fans from other clubs that I've seen on social media today actually praising Iliman Ndiaye, saying he should be playing in the Champions League, and he should be. He should be. So, listen, it's going to be hard to keep Ndiaye. I'll go as far as saying if he carries on putting performances in like he did yesterday, it'll be hard to keep him in January. Never mind next summer. We've got to prove to him we are progressing. And the two centre forwards we've got at this club, we will not progress with them two centre forwards. What I want to add to you saying about Ndiaye sort of loses his man and the ball comes in. If you've got a recognised right back playing, that doesn't happen. We wouldn't be pointing the finger at Ndiaye. Because Ndiaye could be the one who's done the run like Jake O'Brien's done. If you've got a recognised right back,
the problem is it is Ndiaye's man. So O'Brien does nothing wrong because he monitors Docker. He comes into the
who
middle.
put the ball in?
The left back.
Right, sorry. So this is where we've mixed up here because I missed that bit. I thought it was Doku. Now, if it would have been Doku, then you do say that's the right back's job.
Agreed.
But because it's the full back, I see what you're saying. Jake O'Brien has followed the winger because it was his man inadvertently because he's playing at right back.
Yeah,
so fair enough. Yeah, that sorts that. That sorts that. But it still doesn't take away the fact that our two fullbacks are shit.
Yeah, and that's
well, Jake, sorry to butt in again. I just wants to add to that. Jake O'Brien isn't shit, but Jake O'Brien's not a fullback.
Yeah, look, I agree with those points. I agree with those points, and this is the problem when you enjoy for me, and I even include Man City in this. For at least 55 minutes yesterday, Ndiaye was the best player on the pitch for both teams. He was brilliant, and it's certainly not a pop at him. He's lost his man, but as you rightly say, John, he's an attacking minded player. He's not built to go backwards. And to be fair to him, he did a good job. Apart from that one moment, he did a good job. There was a couple of times early in the first half where me and you were saying, "Oh, he's not doubling necessarily up on his man enough." But then he fixed that. It was almost like he listened when he started doubling up, and there was less crosses coming into the box. He just doesn't track his man on this one time, and that's all Haaland needs. And he just needs one opportunity, one cross. And you talk about the movement and the centre halves getting closer, mate. We used to have a fantastic player in Tim Cahill who always used to find that little gap and that space. And good players do it. I think as well. If I'm being a bit harsh, maybe. I do think that you end up with a situation where Tarkowski's kind of standing on top of Pickford, so he can't see the ball, so he can't even, adjust. Because I think he could have saved both goals if there was a slightly different, a player in front of him, or there was
He should have done better with the second one, Pickford.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. That's the point I was trying to make this morning, and obviously, we clash. And do you know what, right? And I say this all the time, but we wouldn't be the channel we are without that. Do you get what I mean? We wouldn't.
It'd be boring, wouldn't it?
It would be boring. And half the time we want to punch each other in the face, and half the time we want to hug each other. That's how it should be. Let's talk about the strikers. Let's talk about the strikers.
Sorry, can we just carry on? Just talk a bit more about Haaland and no one being close enough. And I can see what you're saying. Haaland's got that knack of losing defenders. It's as if he does disappear because his movement's that good. But because our defenders were so close to the goal line, don't you think one of our midfielders should have been tracking him as well?
But the problem I think I'm trying to think back to the first goal. The first goal is the header, isn't it? And you could possibly argue that Ghana Guy, I think he's the closest player, should have been near him. But how's Ghana Guy going to stop a header against Haaland?
What about the second goal he scores? Do you think it somehow should have been closer then? Because I think Pickford should do better for that.
Yeah, look, so I think on the second goal, I actually think he's more clever on the second goal than he is the first goal. But do I think one of the centre midfielders should have followed him? Yeah, 100%. 100%. The problem you again have is just how clever he is. Like, there was an opportunity that he had. I think it's his one-on-one towards the end of the game. And he sort of circles his run around the back of Keane. I mean, I watched him back yesterday, right? And, you know, me and you were also talking about what he does on and off the ball and, you know, how he does nothing other than score goals. And I looked at a centre forward yesterday and I looked at a player that was winning headers in his own penalty box, was chesting a ball down, was running and carrying the ball, was playing the ball out to the left-hand side. And for me, that narrative on Haaland is almost gone. I think he's just now a very good, very, very good footballer. And I just don't think Everton had anything. Even if we had players there, I just don't think we had anything to fucking stop him. It's just so good.
I think what I said this morning, listen, we'll tell everyone what I said. So I think what caused eruptions this morning was me saying, if Haaland wasn't a goal scorer, he'd be playing for Marine. Now, I actually went on Google and looked at Haaland's stats I think he touched the ball 108 times yesterday, Haaland. I think they were the stats I looked at against Everton. But the stats it gave me was for the last 5 years, or whatever it was, 3, 4, 5 years. And it was only yesterday's 108 touches, or whatever it was, smashed the other 3 years. The other 3 years were like 30 times in a match, 40 times in a match. They were, I can send you them. So I think what you're finding now with Haaland, he is becoming more than just a goal scorer now.
Yeah,
because we all know what sort of form he's in at the minute. So he's not just in the form of a goal scorer. He's doing more for the team. Whereas if you look back at Haaland 18 months ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, he was predominantly just a goal scorer.
Yeah.
He was. The stats prove that. But I think now he has become an all-round centre forward. I mean, again, I missed that bit where he was heading it. I think it was from one of our corners or our dead ball situations, and he was bringing runners into it. But I also think Manchester City have changed the way they play, because if you look at the players they've lost, the likes of Kevin De Bruyne, Haaland probably didn't have to do as much as what he does now then when they had Kevin De Bruyne. And I think now, because of the other players who they've brought in, the likes of Marmoush when he plays, and Foden, they've got him, and, you know, Mateus Nunes, they've got him. I think Haaland has to do more now because them players aren't of the ilk of Kevin De Bruyne. So I think he is becoming a more all-round centre forward now because of the teammates he's got. And I think when he was having less touches in games and all he was doing was predominantly scoring goals, was when he had the likes of Kevin De Bruyne with him.
Yeah, and that's my point. That's my point. And the other, the actual thing that I hung up on you for was because you said that maybe football's not for you, mate. And bye, John.
I can't remember saying
that. But ultimately, you look, you all get an insight into mine and John's world, and I wouldn't change it, mate. I wouldn't change it. I think ultimately, you know, we're sitting there and we're picking holes in the performance against.
Wait, sorry for interrupting. That was another thing you pulled me on. And yes, I have been doing that more lately. But I look back now and I picked holes in a performance that was for 55 minutes. We were as good as City were. But as we said yesterday in the match reaction, your words yesterday were they turn the screw. And I think for the last 30, 35 minutes, City were doing it at will. Everton didn't look like scoring in the last 30, 35 minutes. Whereas when you look at it, we could have been 2-0 up.
Mate, it was. I actually think the last 10 minutes of the game was embarrassing because they had chance after chance after chance. Haaland,
Pickford yesterday again.
yeah, Haaland could have scored 2 or 3 goals in the last 7 minutes of the game. They were just constantly trying to find him to get a hat trick. I mean, it was. They were toying with us at the back. But yeah, look, we are where we are. I think for me, right, I want to talk about the strikers. But I actually want to talk about Everton a little bit as well, because I know this is going to sound a bit weird, but Everton have got 3 wins, 2 draws, 3 defeats. We're currently sitting in 10th. The toughest game we've played is Man City. Do you? People are gonna absolutely go for me in the channel and the
Makes a
comments.
change for you than me.
I know they're gonna go for me, but do you think this good start to the season's a bit of a myth?
No, well, no, because look, I think we can all openly admit Everton haven't put 90 minutes together this season, which has been like, wow, we're back. The new players are making a difference. Grealish is a world beater, and Dye won't be playing for us. He'll be playing for Real Madrid. We haven't put 90-minute performances in this season. We've seen halves who are better than the second half against Leeds. I think we deserve to get something out the Liverpool game. We were well in that. Yesterday, 55 minutes, we were in that. The problem Everton have got, and we've said this on here, we're not doing it for a whole game. And West Ham was another perfect example. We should be beating West Ham at home, mate. Aston Villa hadn't won a game before they played us. They got a draw off us. We should be beating them. We need consistency. That's what we need. And yes, it's 3 wins. You know, everyone, Everton at 10th, blah, blah, blah. It's 3 wins. So I don't know how many points we had at this point last season compared to what we've got now. I don't know that. Do I think it's a myth? I think it was a myth if the performances were poor. But when you look at it, apart from Leeds, how many poor performances have Everton put in apart this season? Poor. I mean, don't get me wrong. I didn't see the cup game, and I didn't see the Villa game because I was on a holiday. I didn't see that. How many performances would you say Everton have been poor to warrant you may be thinking the start's been a myth?
You see, this is where it's difficult because I honestly think, right, I absolutely agree with the way you've just explained that. I do. 100% I agree with that. I think we haven't been terrible all game in any game apart from, well, no, we weren't even terrible. No, Wolves away in the cup. We were terrible. We were terrible all game in that game.
I didn't see that game at all.
But you're right. That is the only game where we've been, absolutely one or the other, all for 90 minutes, and we were absolutely shit. I look at the table, right? So Aston Villa have just, by the looks of it, just beaten Spurs. Aston Villa, who started the season poorly by everyone's accounts, are now above us.
And it's close, isn't it? It's close, isn't it?
And that's the point I make. Look, I don't think Everton have had a bad start to the season. I just think, and look, I'm laying the blame on the strikers. I'll be straight with you. I just think Everton would be further up the lead if they had two strikers who could score, because I think we would have beat West Ham. I still think we had enough chances to get a point in that Leeds game, and I think we would have beat Villa. And you sit there and you think we picked up 2 points out of those 9. I just think this season,
maybe we could have another 4 points if we had a decent striker.
I think this season, right, and certainly up until January at least, is going to be disappointing for me until we get a striker who can score goals, because ultimately everything behind them forwards I'm happy with. Everything. Pickford, the defence, give or take, the midfield, the attacking, the Drewsbury Hall, the Grealish, and John. I'm happy with everything. then the ball goes up front. And every game I'm sitting there thinking, if a goal doesn't come from Njai or, I don't know, Drewsbury Hall or James Garner getting one or Idrissa Garner guy getting one, we're never going to score. And that's the bit that infuriates me. I sit there looking at this league table, right? Man United, don't think they'll go to Anfield and win. But if they do win, they also go above us. Everton are then 12th. And I just don't feel like we deserve to be 12th.
But we don't deserve to be 12th on some of the performances we put in and bit part of good performances we've put in. But I'm going to add fuel to the fire now. I know we want to get onto the strikers, but
we're on it.
Well, I think the manager's in-game management has left a lot to be desired in some games this season. I want him to bring players on and play players in their position. Put players in their position. You know, he put, who was it? He put on the right wing yesterday and he stuck the place up. Yeah. Not a right winger, mate.
Oh, no, he played him on the left. He did play him on the left. Yeah. He put him on the right. Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing I'll say about Alcaraz, and again, the comments will probably go off the scale here. I actually think he's better when he comes on as a sub. I think Alcaraz is an impact player. We've seen the best of Charlie Alcaraz this season when he's come on as a substitute. We have. Now, whether that's the mentality of Charlie Alcaraz, whether that's David Moyes has got to do something different with him, the in-game management from the man. And listen, I'm not having a pop at David Moyes, mate. Well, I am, but I'm not going to sit here and slag him off. I just think his in-game management sometimes leaves a lot to be desired. I mean, the amount of time he left Beto on the pitch yesterday. We've got a Tyler Diblin on the bench, and he brought Barry on before him. Yes, different positions. We've got a 40-odd million pound player sitting on the bench there, mate. Now, you see people in the comments on social media saying, well, the only way he's going to get better and get up to speed is by having minutes. He's not going to get up to speed, mate, by playing 5, 6, 7 minutes. He's not. And then you mentioned the strikers. And again, I'm going to say it how it is now. And I hope I'm proved wrong. And if you want to have a go at me, have a go at me. It's my opinion. But Tieno Barry is not going to do it at Everton Football Club. There, I've said it.
Yeah, I definitely have. I'm maybe not quite on the level, but I'm not far off.
We need a striker, mate. When you've got two strikers that have cost you that much money and they've scored 2 goals this season, whether it be Barry or Beto, between them, we're crying out for a striker, mate. And when you've spent that much money on them two, you could have went out and got a decent striker, mate, who comes in and hits the ground running and gets you double figures this season.
I'm actually... honestly, we could get roasted in the comments. I actually am starting to question the majority of the summer transfer window, bar 2 players.
Oh yeah.
You know, Adam Asno is going to put absolutely no pressure on, in my opinion, a poor Mikalenko. He's going to put no pressure on him at all. Jake O'Brien, you're right in saying, he looks a fantastic centre-half. He looks like he could do a job at right-back, but he's not a right-back. He's not a right-back.
He's becoming found out, isn't he, with certain players?
Yeah. Anyone with a bit of skill and pace, he struggles. The fact that the strikers aren't scoring goals, and if you take a Drewsbury Hall and a Grealish out of this team, I wouldn't be confident we'd be getting the results that we're even getting now, to be honest. So,
well, then Guy can't do it all on his own, mate, can he?
No, he can't. And he must be banging his head against a brick wall, if I'm being honest. So for me, I am. I'm starting to question the summer transfer window. You know, when you spend, I wanted Tyler Diblin, and I'll stand by that. I think there's a player there. But I certainly thought he would hit the ground running a little bit more. I certainly thought he'd play more. I was expecting the same with Barry. I was expecting Barry to come in, be the main man, essentially. I know Beto had the number 9 shirt, but I was expecting Barry to be the main man and to be pacey, to be strong, to be skillful, to be getting goals. I was expecting Adam Asnum to be putting pressure on Mikalenko and then fundamentally displacing him and getting in front of him. And I can't see any of those players, and that's £85 million. I can't see any of those players playing more than 20 games this season for Everton Football Club. The signings that were right, in my opinion, and it's very early on, but I saw enough in Merlin Roll yesterday to think he's a good player. He's at least a squad player, but he's a good player. Charlie Alcaraz for 12 million quid, I still think is a good buy. I don't have an issue with that. And Drewsbury Hall and Jack Grealish. I think we signed 9 players in the summer.
2 keepers and 7 outfield.
And that means potentially, it's not 100% because they might come good, but that potentially means that's £85 million roughly this summer transfer window that could have been used on players that are actually going to be able to come in and hit the ground running. You've just
answered your own question, though. How many players did cost that £85 million?
3.
So what's that each?
Well, I mean, you can actually call it, can't you? It's 44 or 42 on Dublin. It was 30. I mean, and for Barry,
so you spend £85 million on 3 players. What are you expecting to get these days? We're not in the same ballpark as what Man City spends on players. But then on the flip side, Michael, and I've seen people put this on social media, people are saying it's too early to question Barry. It's too early to question Diblin. You've got to give them time. You look at the players that Notts Forest brought in the summer. I think one of their players cost something like 15, 16, 18 million. He scored 3 goals and had 5 assists this season. So there is players out there who can come in and hit the ground running.
Enjoy was what, £15 million?
15 million. I'm going to say it now, sort of backtracking on what I said before about Barry. There's a little bit of me that hopes he will come good, because we had this conversation on the phone the other day. If you look at the clubs Barry's played for, it has taken him a bit of time to get up to speed and to fit in and to start scoring goals. It has took him a bit of time at the clubs he's been at. But I'm not seeing anything from him, from what we are seeing, that makes me think with a bit of time, he's going to come good. Now, when you've got Beto and Barry, mate, and you're not going to get enough goals from your strikers, that means your midfield has to start chipping in. So we could go through it now, or I don't know whether you want to use it for another video. How many goals do you get off and die, roughly, a season?
7 or 8.
Right. Grealish, 5, 6?
5.
Yeah. Dewsbury Hall.
5, 10.
Guy.
5 or 6. I don't think he scores loads and loads.
So from our midfield and our defenders, you could probably put it all together and say, out of all the midfielders and the defenders, you're probably going to get 20 goals.
20, 25, yeah.
Yeah. That's not enough, mate, when you've got strikers like that. It's not enough. That's a worrying stat, that. When you look at it like that, mate, you're getting 20, 25 goals from the rest of your squad, from your midfielders, from your defenders, from set ball situations, set piece situations. When you've got strikers like Beto and Barry, you need a lot more goals spread around the team, mate.
Well, if you so I was looking at the sort of the form guide, and I am worried. I am worried. I'm not worried that we're going down or anything like that. I'm not. I'm not worried that we're not a better team than last season, because we are. I'm just worried that we've got all this. We've got a bit of potential this season. We have got a bit of potential, and we're not going to be able to get to the heights that we can get to because we're not scoring enough goals, and it's a shame. It feels almost in an attacking sense we've kind of regressed a little bit because David Moyes come in last season, we scored 3 against Spurs. I think we scored 4 a week after, or 2 or 3 a week after. We've scored 9 goals in 8 games this season, and
that's the worrying thing, mate. Where's the goals come from?
And that is the worrying thing, and that we'd actually put ourselves in games if we could score more goals. I mean, we could have arguably, as I say, we could arguably have 4 more points, and 4 more points in this league, in this season right now, would put Everton in 4th, 5th.
Do you know when you look at the teams that were looking where Everton are probably going to finish around, right? Yeah. Most of them teams you could watch and you could go, these could score 3 or 4 goals here.
Yeah.
You can't with Everton, mate. And again, listen, this is a very negative video. It's a very, very negative debrief. It is. For 55 minutes, Everton were in it. But in the long run, in the long term, can you honestly sit down and watch Everton saying we're going to give someone a paste in here? We're going to get 3 or 4 goals here. No, this is the problem. So this is where your midfielders have got to start chipping in with more goals up until January. And regardless of whether we've spent money on Barry, regardless whether Beto's being given the number 9 shirt, first and foremost for me in this January transfer window, mate, is a right back and a striker. If we don't get a striker and a right back in this January transfer window, then, as you said before, using your words, we're not going to hit the heights of where we thought and where we predicted that Everton could finish this season.
Yeah, exactly. And look, there's 6, 4. We've got 11 games until the 1st of January. For me, I want to sort of play those 11 games and have a striker ready, Premier League experience. I don't know who it is for the 1st of January. Because
we need to be asking the question now, mate.
Well, yeah, but we ain't going to be able to solve it, are we, until January the 1st?
Oh, I know that. But what I mean is the Everton and the coaching staff and David Moyes and the recruitment team, surely they can't be sitting there now after what we've seen already this season going, we're all right up front. They've got to know that in the January transfer window, it's a priority to get a striker in, a Premier League proven striker, who can come in and not need time, like Tyler Diblin, like Adam Asnu, like Barry, not need time, come in and be ready to go. Be ready to go and try and get us double figures from January to May. Try and get us 10 goals. Someone who can help Barry along with a bit of Premier League experience. Someone who can take him under the wing, because you're not going to get that off Beto. We said that on here the other week. You look at Barry there. He's a rabbit in headlights, mate. He's a rabbit in headlights when he comes on. Now, you can't look at Beto and say to Beto, do us a favour, Beto. Take him under your wing and show him the ropes. Get him ready for the Premier League.
No, because
he's going to do that for Beto. Come on.
You've got Bambi on ice.
Honest to God, you've got honest. So this is the thing. He hasn't really got a good teacher, has he, Barry, to help him get up to speed. You look at a lot of the teams in the Premier League, mate. They have 2 or 3 players for each position, and one of them in every position has experience to help the others along. You look at Jack Grealish. You'd like to think Jack Grealish is going to be in Diblin's ear, helping him along, nurturing him. Who's nurturing Barry, mate? Fucking Beto. Gabriel Jesus, I'll just go for it. Gabriel Jesus is one, and you've mentioned Richarlison, but whoever it is, they've got Premier League experience. They know where the goal is. That's the sort of people we're going to be looking at, I think. We're not going to spend big money in January on a striker. If we can get someone in on loan, come in at the ground running, and just give us some goals from that part of the team, because at the minute, mate, you wouldn't have a bet. If you were a betting man, you wouldn't bet on Barry and Beto every week, would you?
No. There we go. There we go. And look, just so John doesn't get the entire paste in there, I agree. So you can come after both of us, but ultimately, if you've got no one educating Barry and your teacher's Beto, you've got no chance. You've got no chance. So, right, look, we will leave it there. I mean, if any Dominic Calvert-Lewin fans in here that say we should have kept Calvert-Lewin, just to throw this in there, he's missed 9 out of 10 large opportunities this season and got a rating yesterday of 3. So let's not. The only thing Calvert-Lewin might have added to this team is maybe holding up the ball a little bit better, but we still weren't going to score enough goals. So
no, definitely not. He's probably no better than Beto or Barry, and there's one for you, but he's not. Them stats prove a point, don't they?
Yeah. There you go. Right, look, we will leave it there. Remember, the Debrief is the only show that is able to be streamed on Amazon Music, Apple, and all the other streaming platforms. So download it on there. As I say, your tickets for Neville Southall, they are able to be bought tomorrow from 7 p.m. But just so you know, you can go on the website now, link on the top, and register your interest. And then you'll get a reminder to say tickets are on sale. And just go and buy them off the link. So they are there. I've got nothing else to add, John. Nothing.
No, I think Tottenham at home next week, being beat by Villa, which, hopefully that's dampened their confidence a bit. But it's for another video. But we do play a Tottenham team who are very capable of beating us as well.
Let's hope that they just leave Richarlison at Everton and he can do the training, and then from the 1st of January he could get into
the ground running.
Yeah. Right. Up the toffee. See you soon. Peace.